Hello, this is Mike Lively from Northern Kentucky University, and we're going to start our introductory class to Papervision today. And you guys feel free to ask questions because it adds to the richness of the recording. I just got an email or a call from my publisher, Chris Webb, who's a really great guy from Indianapolis, going, "Hey, where are you on the book?" And so I said, you know what, we've done quite a few things. There's quite a number of additional resources. Now, if you ask me, what do you mean book? If you guys are new, I've actually been asked by Wiley Books to write a book on Papervision. And so that's what you're getting today. And you're probably wondering what the heck Papervision is and what's going on with it. And so we're going to show you some of these additional resources and then go to the book's blog. Now, I typically hand out a huge handout. Sometimes, like I kill a tree, hand out you 18 pages of work to do. Today, we're not going to do that because there's so much on the web. We're going to look at all those web resources. We're going to show you baby steps, how to actually use an SVN like a Tortoise to download from Papervision itself, get that onto your computer, and bring that up into Flex. And do everything you need to do to make those classes work and function and create a Papervision project. If you're wondering what Papervision is, it is 3D on the web. So if you think about gaming, you typically have this huge gaming download that you had to put onto your computer, usually some type of C++, Python, or whatever language that needs an engine to run, so you download the engine. But with Flash Player 9, now 10, basically Papervision will run natively on the web. So the Flash Player is on about 98% of the computers in the world. And so when someone logs into your website, they're going to run natively 3D. They don't need a huge game download, which means for education is you're going to see in the next few years of education being very interactive, very game-like on the web, because now we have this huge 3D environment to play with, and it's just going to be more and more. So for you guys, this is pretty much the wave of what's hitting. We're right at the very, I think, crest of the wave, and that's very exciting to be. I've always wanted to be there. I miss .com. So I'm glad to capture Papervision. So there have been a number of additional resources put together for the book. There's a book blog. There's a book website. There's Google Code where you can get free code, and I've had thousands of downloads now. There's YouTube videos, of course. You guys seen those. There's now a Lively 3D. So am I hijacking Papervision? Absolutely not. I created so much code in writing the book that I needed a place to put it all, and so it's kind of like a derivative of Papervision where it keeps all my code there. But with the slant also of educators, if you are aware of what's going on in the gaming industry, typically educators are left behind when it comes to 3D technology. There are a few shining examples where there have been, websites or games developed for educators, but typically they're not because there's no money in it. But 3D environment really is a very rich learning environment. So there needs to be a thrust for that, and since I'm an educator and I'm into this technology, you can bet there's an emphasis on that. So that Lively 3D is up there for educators. And then there's a Nabble, which is a discussion forum. Just put that up last night. And so those 6 resources are out there. Roxanne, do you want this? I can email it to you. Let me just do it right now. And there's my blog, ta-da, for the book. And right now I'm getting about 200 hits a day on the blog, which I was, somewhat surprised, and sometimes 300 a day. So that's really interesting. I think my publisher's glad to see that. But there's tons of stuff on this blog. And it's only been around, I think, for about a month, but I'm trying to be very religious when it comes to publishing to the blog, maybe every 2 or 3 times a week now. So if you can come along here, you can actually see from the calendar where I'm publishing. I'm not quite making it always 2 or 3 days at a time, but trying to get there. And then if you just go here, there's just tons and tons of articles about Papervision. And what we're trying to do is actually not just do Papervision, but Papervision for education, also Papervision with a little more of a cutting edge, stuff you don't typically see coming out of the forums. A lot of blogs are like repeats of other blogs. This is not the case here. Most of the stuff here is either a derivative, an enhancement of what someone else has done, or an original work. Okay, and for example, right here, I guess I showed this to you guys. This is a planetarium that we built, and I've gotten lots of hits on this. A lot of people were amazed that you could build a planetarium with only 200 lines of code. Okay, and if you try to do this in Flash 8, it's just practically impossible. Here we're actually generating all these stars on the fly. This is not a cube with little speckles put on it. This is actually nomad data, actually real star data, and if you click on that, and it zooms you right into the star, and you can look at it right now. It's running kind of slow here because we're recording at the same time, but it's all in 3D. Now, the reason we built this, of course, is we wanted a 3D sky over our cities, and so why not have a real one? And so that's why we went for that. So let me get out of this. Go back to the book blog, and there's just tons and tons and tons of stuff like that in this site. And it's just fun, fun, fun. So let me go back to the beginning because that's really where we want to be today and talk about the guts of a Papervision application. Now, there is a similar article to this on the web somewhere, but it's not quite right. They missed it. And so one of the great opportunities we have as we're reading, we're studying, going through all the material, is to really get it right. And so I'm going to talk about what the guts of Papervision is, how they're composed, and then give you a little graphic down here to show you actually how it works. So Papervision actually has 6 main components. Every program that you write in Papervision has these components. It has a scene, and what a scene is, it is just a container for all your 3D objects. All right? So, you know, if you're going to take a picture of something, you got to have something you're going to take a picture of, and you throw it in a box maybe, and you're going to take a picture of what's in that box. That's your scene. A viewport, basically, a viewport is what you paint those objects onto. So you have all these 3D objects and they're moving around in space, but when you view them on the computer, your computer's not 3D. It has to be a flat screen. That flat screen is your viewport. Okay? The camera, of course, is just whatever is looking at the stuff in the box. All right, so you can move your camera around, okay? And that camera, that's pretty much self-explanatory. The object, of course, is the thing that you're photographing. The material is what you're dressing the object in. So you might have a ball you're photographing. You can paint it yellow or green or put some, some fairy dust on it or whatever you might do, glitter. And that would be your material. And the renderer basically is what's pushing frame by frame that camera stuff onto the screen. So actually Papervision is doing 2 things at once. It's not just filming a movie, but it's also projecting its film. So you can think of, you typically go to a movie studio and you might have someone take all day filming to maybe a 2-minute commercial. They go, they chop the commercial up, they process it, and then what they do, they play it over TV. But Papervision does both of these things at the same time. So you can see here, here's a camera in a sense, and it's photographing that little box I told you. And there's your item in the box. And then at the same time, that same box, as it's photographing, it's actually projecting it into the viewport or your screen so you can see it. Okay? So it's very fundamentally important that you understand this. The site on the web that was similar to this only got half of it. It showed half of this, but didn't realize that you were actually doing 2 things at once. It just showed the camera and the reels. Now the reels, what happens on a projector when the reels turn? Yeah, it projects your image onto the screen, right? Well, in Papervision, we do the same thing. We do it through a command, either a timer command or an on-enter frame command. You're going to see all this coding today. But if you keep this in mind, this little image here, where you're actually filming and projecting at the same time, then these 6 things, the scene, the box that holds all the stuff, the camera, which is filming, the object, the stuff on the object, and the viewport will all make a lot of sense. Now, are there any questions right now? Does that graphic make sense to you guys? Yeah, okay. I wish someone would show this to me. When I first started working with Papervision, it would have just made total sense to me from then on. I had to learn it the hard way. Okay, so let's move on from there, and let's talk about how you actually get your first Papervision application running on the web.